Welcome to Real Estate Success DFW, the podcast where top producing agents from Dallas-Fort Worth come together to share their stories and strategies behind their success. I'm Shaune Corbett, your host, and with over 300 million sold in the local real estate market and the honor of being best at the multiple times, I know what it takes to make it in this market. Each episode, we're going to dive into the world of real estate, learning from the very best in the industry. If you're ready to level up your game, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey everyone, Shaune Corbett with Real Estate Success DFW. I just wanted to introduce a friend of mine. Her name is Kristen Carpentier. And did I say it right? Carpentier, is that how you say it? Okay. I've got her on. And how are you doing?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Kristen is, you may know her from her infamy on YouTube. She's got a very large YouTube following. We're going to talk a little bit about that and what makes that a part of her business success. And I think that's an important component. Most of us don't even want to do things like this, and they don't even want to get on camera at all. She's taken full advantage of the opportunity to grow her business and connect with audiences and people that she would never otherwise connect with. And I think there's some magic there. So Kristen, I always like to kind of start with some basics. What got you into real estate?
Well, actually, I got into real estate almost 24 years ago now. I'm originally from Arizona, and my husband had just gotten out of the military, and he was looking for a job. Family friend asked him to come on and become a real estate appraiser. Well, see if he wanted to. So he went and did the whole apprenticeship for real estate appraising. And in the meantime, he said, well, he's going to do that. Why don't you both get your real estate licenses? So no information on real estate. My dad didn't, family never really was into real estate either. So just kind of dove into it. But I grew up in Arizona. I had family friends in Arizona. So, it was easy to work with a sphere out there. And then when we relocated here to Texas, so that was for about 12 years. And then we relocated here to Texas. I kind of thought market was kind of slow. I didn't know anybody in Texas. And back in the olden days, I guess I call it, I just didn't really feel I'd be able to do it as well here in Texas. So I had what I call my side hustle, I guess you could say. I had my own business. And I just always loved real estate. So we started investing in multifamily, and I just was kind of like, maybe I should get into real estate. But I was doing really good with my side hustle. So that kind of took me a while to just give that up. And I finally was like too exhausted from working all the time on my side hustle and decided to get back into real estate. I'd been here long enough and I felt like I could make it work. So that's what I did.
How long you been in the area? I think are you in Louisville? Is that
I'm in Flower Mound.
You're in Flower Mound. Okay, so you're in Flower Mound. How long you been in Flower Mound?
12 and a half years now.
Okay, been in 12 and a half years. Obviously, when you started real estate, YouTube wasn't very popular. Didn't exist.
Right, so, which I would have known.
Yeah, well, probably would have been even more explosive today. That'd be incredible. But you found a niche in that space. And I know that's kind of one of your driving factors. You really value the importance of online presence, right? A lot of things I'll teach basic things is like, we at least need to have a Google business page. We at least need to be on Zillow. We need to at least have our LinkedIn page, all the basics. And then of course, be on Facebook and Instagram. Mm-hmm. But it's beyond just having a place for me to click on and see you've got a website. We've got to connect with the audience. Yeah. And how do you value online presence in our particular space and being a real estate agent?
Today, I think it's super valuable because now the clients that call me, clients that want to work with me, it's not just a referral, somebody saying, hey, so-and-so told me about you. It's when you talk to people and you have an online presence, it's like they completely know everything about you. They don't, because I obviously don't share the ins and outs of what I do, my kids and all of that other stuff. Sometimes I throw a little bit in there, but they feel like they know you and can trust you because you're smart, you know the area, and especially for a lot of people looking to move, they have that trust factor. So I think it's been huge. So it's kind of like they already know that they want to work with me because they have researched me. So
yeah, they watch your videos, they watch your, the actual YouTube channel you call is Living in Dallas. And I know you have some, spin-off things that you do. You have new video content you come out with constantly. You've got thousands of people that have subscribed, and you've got hundreds of videos there. And a lot of it has to do with hyper localized information. So, kind of describe if I'm building in this space and I want to, get better at YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel and I don't have any subscribers. That's not really where I've built anything. And I think it's valuable even for me to hear from you. You built a substantial amount of subscribers. What brings in the subscribers as a real estate agent? What would you advise them on building out your YouTube channel?
Well, first, we did a ton of research before I got back into it, or before I started my YouTube channel. I found a podcast and just kind of did a deep dive of, wait, what does this do? Which turned into, we bought books about it, read all about it. And for us, my husband's really big into tech and he helped me on the back end, just really researching, I guess you could call it an algorithm, and how you want people to find you. So we live in Dallas. Dallas is a huge metroplex. And even though the majority of my business is not in Dallas, most of the people looking to relocate to the Dallas metro area research. I mean, most people don't know about Flower Mound or Highland Village or we're talking like super small towns that most people would not even really know about. But it's like you have to drive them to the main channel to have them find you. So we learned you have to really start broad with your big topic of what people are going to research. So, which was Dallas. Why move to Dallas? Top 10 reasons to move to Dallas, pros and cons of moving to Dallas, things you should avoid when moving to Dallas, what things I have all of this written down, but get your main drivers out there. We'll call it 12 videos, I guess, about your main driver. And then from there, you start to spin off on major things that are researched here, obviously Frisco, for anybody here in Dallas who knows, Frisco and Prosper and Plano and these other big cities. And then that just starts to, in fact, I just had a client recently who had done his research and they thought they wanted Frisco and Prosper. But then you talk to them with their wants and their needs, but they don't know the Dallas area. And then from there, you start talking about other areas and options. And I just got an email the other day that said, after talking with you again, we think Prosper's out. And now we're going to look in these other areas based on what you said. But based on what I said, they went back and watched all my videos and were like, oh, we had no idea. So it just really starts to build on all of that. But you have to have your main driver video to even get started. And once you do, it's definitely a slow process for sure. But once they kind of get out there and find out the information, and then they start calling based on what you said.
Sure. The channel is called Living in Dallas, but I imagine, like you were saying, most of your people that you close and work with probably are not going to buy in Dallas. But, I hear it, right? You get a job promotion, you get moved, say, hey, you're going to be moving to the Dallas area. You got to start somewhere, and you don't know the suburbs. I'm just like, if it's any other major city, Chicago, New York, I may not want to live in that particular urban space, but I know I need to move to that space in order to be able to get to my job.
Yep.
One other drivers I think that's really important for you, because it's what's really interesting about YouTube is you can build a large, effective base without having to spend much. If you build it properly, you have the proper taglines, the SEO is built in, you're addressing a need. And the need is, I'm moving to Dallas, where do I go live? Right? So you're answering a need, and all that can kind of come together. And the research is incredibly powerful that you've been able to identify that particular. So what is it about building this space that you do without spending or paying for leads? Like, do you pay for leads, or have you ever paid for leads?
Nope, never have.
Okay. And you obviously, most of your competition pays for leads, or that's a part of their business model, especially getting into it, because they start with very little.
Yeah.
So how has that been for you? Do you have other ways that you build your business without spending money on leads?
No, the majority of my business either comes through YouTube, social media, and sometimes I'm not even 100% sure. I'm not as great on Instagram as on building that on YouTube, but YouTube works for you when you're sleeping. And I have people who call me like you can see where they're coming from. And I have people calling me off of videos from 2 years ago. So it just, yeah, I have no need to pay for leads. And now I'm to the point now, I just got another call from a client who had found me. I actually helped her buy and then sell over the last few years. And now she's already sent me a referral. So somebody who she is just saying my praises. And I mean, but not only that, we've lived here, I think, long enough. And when people know you're in real estate, then you start to get this fear. But I've just never believed in leads. In fact, probably kind of in the beginning, there was somebody that it was like a referral thing through our brokerage online, but we had a connection from Arizona and they were sending me kind of some leads that I had to vet a little bit. And that honestly was kind of, I didn't have to pay, I paid him a referral fee, which was fine, but those were kind of painful. Like nobody knew me, and getting them to convert and the amount of calls and things that I had to do to get them to actually start moving was definitely a lot longer than that trust factor that you get built on YouTube, because they literally feel like they know you. If they can find that online presence and feel like they're talking to you. We've had clients who have bought and years later they send me texts saying, we just sat down because on Saturday night, because your video popped up and the family was watching. I mean, it's kind of funny. And I'm like, seriously, that's what you're watching on a Saturday night? But I'll get those texts, and because I've dropped a new video, and even though they've bought and they're not moving anytime soon, they're like, still watching your videos. And I'm like, okay, kind of like television and on Saturday nights. So it's kind of funny.
So not much of a sitcom. You got other actors, or none of that kind of stuff.
No, I wish I had a little bit. We'll get the comedy factors going here eventually. I'm sure, but
I think it's fascinating to build a business without spending anything or I put a lot of effort into that space. It was just making me think just recently, I have enough closings with my referral market, and I needed to hyper focus in podcasts, which I'm doing right now, in building out my training, which is what I'm also working on. I've got probably about 8 to 10 people that I could continuously follow up and call to bring them back into the fold and get ready to sell. And when you were talking about, working with a cold market that doesn't know you, there's no relationship, they've never seen your videos, and you're having to make this conversion, it's an interesting space and it takes a lot more effort and time. I'm not even calling them right now because I have enough work right now that I don't have to, but any one of us would rather move in a space where we're not having to convert anyone.
yeah.
I don't know about you. Do you have like a listing presentation you use, or generally do you just go and list a house?
I do. I have one that, I mean, it's bound and information on what my process is, but it's more of like I go into a listing presentation and I'm talking with my clients, finding out what they need, and then I leave it with them. I've never really had to just sit down and go through it step by step. Maybe if they've asked questions along the way, but in fact, I have it right here, but I've never had to sit down and line item everything. And I've actually gotten, at least a handful over the last year and a half. I've gotten referrals from other agents who found my YouTube channel, who have sent me listings actually, because people are moving to their area. And then they're like, well, they found me. Who do I find? And they've gone on YouTube and found me and then sent me the referral for listings as well. So that's worked.
Yeah. It lowers the bar of having to make that conversion, right?
Absolutely.
It lowers, it disarms it. It's almost in a lot of space where you might put the work and put in the presentation, but there's not much selling aspect. It's just, I'm going to go, we probably are about 80%. We're going to get this anyway, but I want to make sure I at least check all the boxes and do the complete package.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a listing presentation or a buyer rep presentation. I don't have any of those things. That's why, the 8 to 10 that I have in that maybe stack, because they're referred or they don't have a relationship with me, I have to actually call them and follow up and show them how great I am. I don't even have time to go after and chase them, and I don't really want to be honest with you. I'd rather, just work on my referrals and then focus on my training and podcasting. But I know if it gets slow and I don't see the pipeline full enough to cover, then I'm going to have to go back and start chasing them again. And that's not a space I want to get into.
Well, from my perspective, what I would say, other things that I have learned, in fact, I haven't been very good the last couple of weeks, but I'm a big fan of a weekly newsletter, weekly, not monthly, but weekly, and more simple and concise. I feel like I do get a little bit wordy, and I just feel like Dallas is so big. So whether or not it's events that are going on, because I mean, we're always wondering what there is to do without having to search around and figure out what's going on, but almost like stay top of mind with a small nugget of what you're doing in your business or what's happening, but that stays top of mind without having to hound them all the time. Because I mean, I've had people too, I'm not 100% of my leads convert ever. I mean, you wish they did. And some people kind of drop off, or I had a lead call me in June that is moving in June in the summer of 2027. And they're actually a lead that is quite active in my website that tells me their price point. I'm like, I can't really guarantee that price point in 2027. But, you know, you're not going to convert 100% of the leads. You're going to convert a lot of them, you know, but sometimes the timeline is way out. I have another one moving next summer and just spoke with them the other day, but I really have no reason to call them or follow up with them until probably May, because they don't want to move until the end of the summer. And we've already talked about it, but if they're in my weekly newsletter, at least they're like, oh yeah, Kristen, as opposed to suddenly finding somebody else on YouTube, because I'm going to continue to stay top of mind, but I'm not going to have to do the work weekly to make sure that they're going to forget about me.
Yeah, if someone's projecting that far out when they're moving and they're that active, I kind of ignore the date. I have a tendency of moving as active as you are. If you're going to be very active, then I'm going to be active too. It's just the way I think about things, because it's kind of like, I gave you an example. It's like when you do an open house and they all say, we've got agents, right? Because everybody knows agents.
Oh yeah.
I assume they're lying. And it's not even that they're lying. I think they don't know. Or their brother and sister-in-law is an agent, right? I mean, they've got somebody in mind. It's kind of like when you're shopping in a store, you don't want to be bothered. Hey, yeah, I don't need anything, or I'm working with someone, or whatever. It's a push off where they don't really want to engage that conversation. I feel the same when someone is that far out but that active. You know, it's like someone that's renting right now and they're out there looking at houses. Everything changes when you go and look at homes. It changes.
I just had that happen.
Yeah, it changes. So I ignored that they have a 12-month lease. I said, we're going to figure out how to get out of that and everybody win.
Yeah.
You know, within reason. And
of course, I literally just had that exact scenario happen.
I don't take it. I move as hard. I always have this fault. I work as hard as you do in everything that I do. Agents that work for me, people in my referral team, anyone in my, coaching. If you work hard, I'll work hard. I'll match you. I do the same thing with clients. The client's very active, I'm going to be active. But yeah, I mean, it does. They tell you one thing, but their actions say something else. I'm going to go with what their actions tell me.
Yeah.
So what was your situation? They tell you they were in a release, and what was it?
Yeah, well, they said they were going to, I've been talking to them since probably the spring. They came out 3 different times. They actually knew where they wanted to live, and they even knew the community and everything they wanted. Long story short, then they were going to rent their house, buy their house, and then they were just like, you know what, we're just going to rent. She was starting a new job, and we just want to get settled. They were here 1 month, and he said, I get a message saying, we think we want to take advantage of what, the market and what's going on out there. And I was like, okay. I mean, he probably would have just kind of kept saying that until I was like, well, I'm going to go out there. I already know these 3 houses that are there. Sent him an email that night. I had him under contract the next day. So, I mean, just able to work the deal. And I was like, I mean, if he was serious, I mean, he called me, or sent me an email, and I was like, well, there is these 3 options, and sent it to him. And the deal really was that good that he was willing to break his lease and get into the opportunity that we were able to find him. So,
sure. Let's talk a little bit on YouTube. What topics? I know we talked about local. That's probably where you really spin around. Are there other, as advice to agents to build their YouTube space? Do you have other tips and things for YouTube topics that would be of value to connect with your audience?
Dallas is a huge new construction opportunity out here. There are other channels that do focus a lot heavier on new construction and the communities. My channel, honestly, when we look at the stats and numbers on it, doesn't do as well, because that's not what people look for in my channel. I'm a lot of data driven, which is what brings in clients, but it just really is dependent on how you're channel hits an algorithm, we've discovered. So, but with the amount of new construction that's out there, there's opportunity to literally hit every neighborhood, every builder. And I mean, I have a list. There's hundreds here in the Dallas Metroplex. So kind of focusing in on that, I would personally say from what we have discovered and gone down the rabbit hole of is not just necessarily saying, we'll call it Pecan Square. Just throw that one out there. Well, but that doesn't mean a whole lot to most people if they don't live here.
Yeah,
so to me,
actually, it doesn't mean anything to anyone that's not even close to it, right? I mean, it's like any like Lantana. You and I know Lantana, but
absolutely,
you get outside of like even Grapevine or that, no one knows what Lantana is, which is shocking because it's huge,
right? And it's
that's
its own address. It's not a city technically, whatever it's called, but it's its own address. You're 100% correct. But it's like you could do it. But Lantana's a great community. I have people who I've known who've bought 3 different houses in Lantana, moved up and lived there, for 10, 12 years. But don't just focus on Lantana. You need to almost focus on, here's this community, but it's like, this is where it's at. Flower Mound, Highland Village, like talk about some bigger cities that those aren't even necessarily big. What schools do they go to? Because especially if families are moving here, everybody wants to know about schools. So when you can throw that information out there and provide value, I've had I get clients all the time who said, I've been watching you for 2 years now. So, but I don't know that until they finally are ready to call me. Granted, some obviously, like I said, want to call you 3 years in advance, but I've had other people who said, I've been watching you for 2 years and they've done enough research. They've watched everything and they obviously don't just watch my channel, but I've given them the idea to do their research, and then when they're ready, they call me.
Yeah, you did a video, avoid moving to Dallas unless you can handle these 12 facts. And you're close to 100,000 views on that video. Yeah. I mean, those are the kind of things, right? Or you have the why do Californians regret moving to Texas? Again, you're getting over 10,000 views. That's substantial, right? I mean, that's going to be that connecting factor. And then you're a real person, you're a live agent, you can help them personally. From 100,000 views to helping them personally. I'm sure there's a wild connection there. That's been a really big benefit for you. Do you feel like a lot of these videos that you create are living in this particular city? Here's the things to think about or look at, or here's the exciting factors. Is that really kind of where you try to center around most of your videos around, or you just pick out hot topics that people are asking? Yeah.
We have more detailed stuff of what we're working on to kind of roll out to change it a little bit. But all of that is really based on the questions and the feedback that I get. But even the 12 things to avoid, literally what I talk about in that video, people ask those exact questions every single time. And is it really true about this? But can you explain more about that? And they honestly go through the things that you talk about, because especially if you're coming from somewhere where, oh my gosh, I can't even think of what I talked about in there. Well, tornadoes. Let's talk. We really don't get a whole lot of tornadoes, but people are freaked out about them, or they're coming from somewhere where they have none of that, or hail, or, you might come from snow and people worry about, we're not having to shovel snow, but people here get a heck of a lot more worried about the hail and the damage to their cars than they are going to be about the tornadoes that come through. So, but people want to do a deep dive of those specific things when they're moving here because it's completely unknown. They've never lived in Dallas, and where they're coming from is completely different.
That's great. It's a great video topic, right? If I were moving to Chicago, I'd probably want to know things that I wouldn't think about coming from not Illinois, right? I mean, that would be really important to know what to expect when you get there. So it's a 21-minute video. How long did it take you to put it all together, piece it together, and then make the recording? Those are good things to think about, right? I mean, most of my stuff, I just get on and just record. I don't really, because I have a lot of things that I want to share and talk about, and I've done it so many times, I feel comfortable just doing it on the fly. But you're actually, 12 facts, you don't just have that in the back of your mind, you got to prepare for it. So
I do a lot of research. I like to, even though I know a lot of these things, there's some things that I'm like, okay, well, even if I'm going to talk about this, well, let's get some detail information. And people really want to know it, and they ask about it. So yeah, I do. I have notes upon notes. I save everything in folders about different cities, neighborhoods, just straight up facts. And I will always do the research on all of it before before I shoot it. I do take a lot of takes sometimes on it. I'm sure it's a lot of editing on certain people's parts, but yeah, I don't speak as clearly as I wish I did sometimes. So sometimes that's a lot of editing.
So on the front end, we all see you. We don't see the back end. We don't see the preparation. We don't see any
Yeah.
of these things. So when you put it all together, make the video. Now you obviously mentioned your husband a few times. Is he still appraising?
No, he stopped that. Gosh, the 2008, 2009 bubble was not super great for appraisers back in then. That's how long we've been doing it. So
Is he still working now?
yeah, he does. Someday,
Okay.
well, someday he'll get to be retired, but well, I'll be retiring him hopefully. But yeah, he's always been really good at tech. That's kind of what his background was anyway. So he does do a lot of editing. We're starting to kind of get a little bit of it outsourced, but right now he does it just because he knows it. So I'm really lucky in that.
So y'all team up doing this, probably have at this point equal contribution in the space. Because there's a
Oh, for
lot of
sure.
back end stuff
For
that he's
sure.
having to do and perform and set up and SEO and all those things.
Mhm.
I mean, what do you think on that 20-minute video? How much time do you think he spends putting it all together on his side?
It completely depends on the video. He probably spends a couple of hours on it, but he really likes to do his research and do his back end and that kind of thing. But in all honesty, I've helped other friends kind of get into it who've been doing it themselves and doing their
Yeah,
own editing. And I think one of the biggest things a lot of people get very intimidated by it. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do it. It's too hard. I can't edit. I can't do this. But I've helped two friends who've started their own little channels, and my one friend probably has maybe 300 subscribers, and she's still getting business from it. And hers are shorter. YouTube is a long form platform.
yeah,
So what we've kind of figured, I mean, obviously the longer the better, but you really probably shouldn't be under like 9 to 11 or 12 minutes. That's kind of a sweet spot, because even though they might only watch 2 minutes, if you're only going to put out a 2 minute video, they're probably only going to watch 30 seconds. So you want
sure.
duration out
Yeah,
there.
and if you had a video that's 2 hours, they're gonna be like, no, I'm not even gonna click on it.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to even get involved in that.
Yeah. But honestly, YouTube really is a long game. YouTube is not something that is going to happen overnight. I probably did get my first call. I need to look back on that. Maybe like 5 months. And it took me, I think, because it was end of December, maybe 8 months to close my first deal. But regardless, if you can stay consistent, and that's the other thing that YouTube wants, they want you consistent. And if you're going to commit, I mean, don't practice what I preach sometimes, because sometimes we get overwhelmed and too much going on and clients and stuff. But if you knew you were consistent every Thursday at 5 o'clock, no matter what, YouTube starts to pick up on that. You do get rewarded for that through YouTube. But if you could do 2 videos, 3 videos a week, it helps you get into the algorithm quicker. But you can do simple edits. The biggest, most important thing that I've even told my friends that have really been able to go for it and just get out there and do it is just consistency. And you're going to get better the more you do it and the more often that you're doing it.
Yeah, and
But
eventually you can drop off the ones that, that don't fit or they're a little raw.
well, you hide them. You don't want to completely delete them. That will also eventually, sometimes once you learn all that, yes, you can kind of delete some of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes then you hide it, or it will tank a lot of your
Viewership or putting get
yeah, however
bots,
YouTube does their technical stuff, it will tank that. But
they want you to hold it all out there live as much as possible.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you can unlist videos like super, because you can go in and do your research on that, and the underperforming videos, you can unlist them so that so it's not in your stuff, but they're not gone. So YouTube's not taking away the credit that you've been given for their algorithms. So, but
Sure.
you have to be consistent, and you have to think, okay, it might be a year, but you don't have to hire a production team to do it. The most important thing is getting started. Do some simple edits. You can do it in Canva. You can do it in iMovie.
What do you guys do? Y'all use Capta or
No, we use Filmora.
okay? That's used for managing, editing, creating. What about like just Canva Pro or something? Do you use Canva for anything?
Oh, I use Canva for all kinds of stuff. Yeah, He does thumbnails in Canva.
Yeah.
We use tons. We use Canva for everything, but actually video editing and putting the video out there, he uses Filmora. But I think one of my friends uses Canva exclusively, and she always has. So, but it's amazing what you can do in Canva Pro now. I think he's created, I can't remember if we've created or if it was my friend that did it. No, he did like your like little intro, I guess, your little intro video, because you can piece together things. Canva Pro offers all kinds of video stuff. I mean, any major city like Dallas, obviously, there's going to be video clips and things in there that you can use to splice together for parts of your video. And that's what's so great is a lot of that is already in there. So if you want to, post about cities, but it's really easy with your iPhone to take it out and get your B-roll of a city, pictures of a city, and people do want to see it. So the more that you can provide it, people love it.
And now EXP is offering free Canva Pro.
Yeah, I need to get mine switched over finally.
Yeah.
I'm afraid
you got to move all the
lose all of it.
templates over. Because the only thing is you got to move all the templates over. It's a new account.
Yeah.
So you got to move all your templates over, but then it's free right at that point because they're covering the cost. So
yeah,
definitely want to check that
mine
out.
had
All right.
just renewed, but we have thousands in there. So
Oh, I'm sure you've been doing this for a while. How long have you been doing this? That's a good thing to ask. 3 years, 4 years, or longer?
I think it's at least 3 years.
3 years. Okay, so you're still pretty fresh at this. I mean, really.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, is I'm never going to be, it's a local niche down channel. I will never have 1 million subscribers because 1 million people are never going to be moving to Dallas. I mean, maybe someday, but it's too niche. So the people with millions of subscribers and hundreds and thousands of subscribers on YouTube, they're, it's something for everybody. Well, I mean, whether it's a computer part or whatever. Well, I'm talking about Dallas. And so it's never going to grow that way. But I have the opportunity to make a lot more money than people with 1 million subscribers because I'm bringing in real estate business. So the real estate business is supplementing that.
Yeah, they say what riches are in the niches, right? So you really focus and hyper focus on a space. You don't need as many. You just need higher conversions. You'll have higher conversions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, at 1 million, you're not going to get that many conversions because you're going to be too spread out. Yeah. So you hyper focus. I want to move to Dallas. They talk a lot about Dallas. We have that connection. I'll give her a call.
Yep.
No, it's an easy conversion. Let me move past YouTube. I know it's eating up a lot of our conversation, but I know you have particular clients that you really connect better with, or you have higher conversions with, or you just get a lot of them. You want to talk about that space. It kind of, I don't know if it's a passion for you or how it's kind of worked out, but you have a particular space that you work probably more than other spaces. What space is that?
I do work with a lot of families, people who are probably, I call it my move up buyer, somebody who's looking to either relocate here. Well, and it's amazing, people coming from other cities where their home's $1 million and it's not that big, but they can come and get a much bigger house for the same price here in Texas. Or clients coming and saying, they're getting a better job here in the Dallas area, so they can afford a bigger home. So I've had a few first-time home buyers. I've had a few retired buyers as well. I mean, obviously I'm all over the place, but the majority of my business is probably like families looking for maybe that next home, something a little bit bigger when they're relocating here.
Do you, if we were trying to connect with you, obviously YouTube has been your number one priority. You hyper-focused on it. And I think that if nothing else, if nobody takes anything else from this conversation, right? It's not just about riches or in the niches. You could have done Instagram, you could have done TikTok, you could have done Facebook, but you stayed with YouTube. Yeah. And staying focused and hyper focused on that space has been obviously a big benefit to you on having higher conversions, and you have a large subscriber base as well. So all those things are incredibly beneficial. And I hope that, they can learn from that, right? Because I'm on every social media platform and LinkedIn, and I have staff that post all that for me, but nothing's really taking hold and growing and expanding quickly because I'm not hyper focused in one space, because they all work different.
They do.
You talked about long form on YouTube. That's not going to work in Instagram. That's not going to work on LinkedIn. But it really exceptionally works here, especially if you're giving long amount of content on things they're asking about or want to
Yeah.
know about, that's going to gain you a whole lot of notoriety. Do you have any other space or anything else that you would want to promote or share, or you just, it's all about your YouTube channel?
No, I mean, I am on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn. I don't know, maybe someday I'll post something on TikTok. I do need to be better about all of that. But yeah, I mean, I post occasionally and I'll still, but my clients who might use all social media platforms will go follow me there, because then I'll post something and all of a sudden I'll get a DM and I'm like, oh, I didn't know they were on Instagram. So I'm like, maybe I should do that more, because that's another way that I am staying top of mind. So yeah, I need to be better at it. It's just, getting my systems down and getting all of that. I'm not very good at posting on the fly. I'm really good at like my preparation. So I should prepare but it's more of like preparing your YouTube, preparing, everything else, and staying up with my blog and staying up with my newsletter. And so, yeah, some of us do need a VA to probably do some more of that to get more of it done.
Scalability. I mean, when you reach a certain point, you close 4 to 5 houses plus a month. You need staff. You need people
For sure.
for scalability purposes, right? What's the best way to get in touch with you? If I wanted to get in touch with Kristen, I need your help. Where would I reach out to you at?
Oh my gosh, you can find me anywhere. All my information is all on my Instagram. It's on my YouTube channel. And even though I am living in Dallas, YouTube came out with like our handles, which now everybody says like, what's the point? No, it's not how anybody finds you. But if you put my name into YouTube, if you do living in Dallas, it's kind of like why I moved to Dallas now, because that's literally all the questions that I'm getting. So we've changed that handle. I don't know how that really matters on YouTube, but if you just search me, it's my name on Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn. I really am everywhere. And all my information.
Very cool. Well, I really appreciate you jumping in with me and answering these questions. I did take notes. I'm going to be using some of that. I appreciate you sharing that. I hope you agents out there will also grow your YouTube channel. Kristen, are you open to other people reaching out for advice on YouTube?
Oh, for sure. I love talking about it. I could talk about it all the time. We love it.
Okay. Well, we'll set up a YouTube channel and let you do that.
Perfect. Call me anytime. I keep telling you.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for joining me. And that is all I've got for this show today. Thank you for joining us on Real Estate Success DFW, and look forward to the next podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
That wraps up another episode of Real Estate Success DFW. I hope you're leaving with new insights that push your real estate career forward. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with fellow agents who's ready to succeed. And if you're interested in working together or have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me directly. My personal phone is 214-228-0383. Let's connect and make real estate success happen together. Until next time, keep pushing forward. I'm Shaune Corbett, and this is the Real Estate Success DFW. Have a high performance week.